Hey, welcome everybody. It's Jeff Williams, Old Pops here, and today I'm out on Grand Lake of the Cherokees using my Garmin electronics to help me find crappie that are staging in these docks that we have all over the lake. Now, a lot of times these crappie move out of the middle of the lake and they stage underneath these boat docks, and then they will move up in the evenings and at night and spawn. And if you find the right docks and the right slips, boy, you can catch a limit quick, and that's just what I did yesterday. Now right here, I am pitching a go-go minnow in an open boat slip, and man, I caught a really nice crappie out of that slip right there. I had seen a few crappie on my forward view live scope back in the back of that slip, and I just pitched the 2.5-inch chartreuse, we call it Old Faithful go-go minnow, on a white 16th ounce big eye head up in there, and I let that lure fall really slowly down to about 10 foot, and then I just reeled it back real slow. Now you can get into some pretty hairy stuff out there too, and a lot of times the slips that are the tightest, that have the most shade in them, are where a lot of the crappie are. And you can see I had to shoot that go-go minnow in between that tri-tune boat and the edge of that dock, and then I had to hop it over that that stabilizer arm on that boat lift. And I'm using 4-pound, 6-pound micro braid for that, and I really love that micro braid. It's pretty tough, and there's zero stretch when you're trying to battle those crappie in around that tight stuff like that. So that's something that you need to get prepared for, and you need to learn how to practice the shooting your dock technique right there, where you bend the rod over and you flip that jig right back into that boat slip, into those tight areas. You can get it back in there a lot better than you can if you're trying to cast. So that is one of the methods that you need to learn how to do if you come to Grand Lake. Now here you can see I am pitching in an open boat slip, which you know is a whole lot easier. And again, I drove by this slip, I identified some crappie at the very end of this slip, and you can see I'm just slowly reeling that go-go minnow down through that slip and targeting the active crappie that are in there. And boy, don't think for a minute that you can't catch some big crappie in and around these boat slips too. This was the biggest fish I had of the day, and he ate the electric minnow colored go-go minnow. That's a white 16th ounce big eye head. And I wanted to see just how much this fish weighed, so I got my scale out, and you can see here in just a minute, I believe this fish ended up weighing 1 pound 8 ounces, which is just an outstanding crappie just about anywhere on any lake. So you can catch some really nice fish in the springtime. And as I move down to another dock, I find another slip, and I thought, you know what, I need to show the folks how I use the crappie kickers and a slip bobber to do the exact same thing. Now, it's kind of strange to see people shooting slip bobbers into boat slips, but that's exactly what I'm doing. Guys, it's a lot easier to use a slip bobber and shoot it up in there than it is to try to cast into an open slip. So I've got my slip bobber set at about 12 feet right there, and this is the shooting technique that I also use for my go-go minnows. And I'm telling you, you learn how to do that, it just becomes second nature. It becomes like casting, and it's so much easier. One of the things I like about shooting slip bobbers up into those slips is it actually lets you keep your crappie kicker in there at the right depth range for a longer period of time. So I'm just twitching it and reeling that back real slow. I'm not doing anything special with it, because you can see those wind waves out there on the water. They're actually hopping that bobber up and down a little bit, making that crappie kicker look like it's alive under the water. So every now and then I'll just give her a little twitch and give it a little pop, but I reel back real slow. And you got to look for real subtle bites, because a lot of times those crappie will just barely hit that thing, and all you'll do is you'll see your slip bobber kind of raise up or pull down slightly. It's not always a slam dunk where your bobber goes under. Well, that's it for me. I've got my limit. I appreciate you guys hanging in there and watching the video with me. I'm getting ready to head back into Shangri-La Resort and clean my fish, and I really hope these tips help you become more successful, and make sure the next time you're out on the water in the spring you don't pass up a good boat slip. We'll see y'all later.